Toucan Play That Game is proudly sponsored by NiceGameShop.com, the place to go for rare and unusual Asian games. Hi, I'm Michael. Take a seat and I'll teach you how to play Small World by Days of Wonder, a fun, light, area-controlled game where players are controlling fantasy races and monsters in a bid to conquer the world, battling over the space because, after all, it is a small world. First thing to do when setting up the game is to lay out your game board, and there are two different boards in this and they're both double-sided. You need to look at the number in the top corner. That tells you the board to use for the number of players. So for a two-player game we'll use this board and we set it out on the table. Then place your round tracker on the one here and a mountain token on each space that contains a picture of a mountain. Then place the tray of tokens near the board and you'll want to take out the natives tokens, which have this little target symbol, and any space that has that target symbol you'll place one of these tokens. The rest of these can go back in the tray. Shuffle up the special powers and then place them in a stack near the board, and then lay out 5 above that. Then do the same with the races, placing them next to the special powers and again revealing 5 next to each of the special powers. This way you're creating a combination of race and special power that join together. Finally, give each player a reference sheet and 5 coins. The rest of the coins and tokens you can just leave near the board, ready for if you need to use them later on. The coins players keep hidden so that no one knows just what value each player has. Pick your first player and then you're ready to begin. A player's first turn starts with them picking a race and power combo. The way this works is you can take the top one for free, but if you want any of the others, you must put 1 coin on each of the ones you're bypassing. And that does mean that you could put out all 5 of your coins in order to take the ones off the top of the pile. But in this case, I don't see any reason to go any higher than these mounted giants here. You then take the race tokens from the tray that match yours. The number of tokens you take is equal to this number plus this number. So 11 in this case. If I'd gone for the swamp elves, it would be 10 tokens. So you simply find those tokens in the tray and then place them in front of you. And you take the race and power combo and place that in front of you. Then the race power combos slide up to fill the gap and a new one is revealed. If on the next player's turn they wish to take one of the ones that has coins on, they get to keep those coins. This is important as coins are your points at the end of the game. Whoever has the most value in coins wins. So it may be worth putting out coins in order to go for a later one, but as the game progresses and people have skipped ones that maybe weren't looking so good to begin with, these coins build up and make them much more attractive. Then, having picked your race and power combo, you're able to begin conquering. For your first conquering, you must enter the board from one of the outside edges or adjacent to one of these 2 Cs. To conquer, you simply place your tokens into the space. An empty space requires 2 tokens. If there are any tokens already in the space, then that increases the number by 1. So for example, if I wanted to take this mountain here, because giants like their mountains, I would need 3 tokens, 2 for the space, 1 for the mountain. And the same would be said for taking on this space here. 2 for the space, 1 for the native token. When you take out a token that's like this, mountains will stay, but these square race tokens will go away. Another thing to note is that you will have modifiers to these things potentially, and also to your scoring based on your race and special powers. So here, for being giants and coming off a mountain, I reduce the number of tokens needed by 1, and for going into fields, because I'm mounted, I reduce the number of tokens needed by 1. So I only actually need 1 token to take out this native. Natives are then put back in the box, and I'll keep placing tokens like this until I've used up all my tokens. And it is possible for your last placement of tokens to try and go somewhere you haven't got enough tokens to take on. So for example, I want to go onto this mountain here. I would actually need 3 tokens because 2 for the space and 1 for the mountain. This means I can roll the berserk dice here. You can only do this on your last placement in a turn, and then you add on the number of pips. So here I would count as having 4, so I would take over that space. If I'd roll blank, however, I would fail, and I just take these back without changing anything that was on that space. I then redistribute my forces. This means I can pick up any tokens I want and then replace them around the spaces that I control. So here we'll go for another one there, another one there, another one there, another one there. The reason I'm doing this is to make it harder for those spaces to be taken off of me. And I'll do this with all the tokens I have available till I have none left in hand. It's then the end of my go, and I count up my score based on the number of territories I control. So this would be 4. It is possible to get bonus score from your race and power, but I don't in this case. I would then take a number of coins equal to my score, so 4, and place them face down in front of me. It would then be the next player's turn. And let's say they choose to take the swamp elves and take their tokens. They now want to control the swamps, but they also want to stop me having more control of the board. So what they're going to do is go 3 there to take out this, removing it from the board, and then 4 to take out my giants here. So my giants are removed from the board. I immediately now have to return 1 back to the game box. The other ones get to stay with me. So if I had 3 there, I would discard 1, 2 would go back in front of me, ready to deploy on my next turn. And my opponent would then do their scoring. At this point, we've both had our turns, so it's the end of the round. Obviously, if you had more players, you'd have more turns before the end of the round. You then move this token down. When you get to the end of the track, that is your final round. To begin with, you'll keep playing like this, with your races slowly spreading out and being worn down. After a while, it'll get to the point where it just doesn't make sense for you to keep playing as this same race anymore, because there's not really any more territory to claim. And at the start of each turn, you get to make the decision. Do you keep playing this race, or do you go into decline? When you go into decline, you'll flip over your power and your race board. Now, some powers and races will have powers that continue once you're in decline, but most don't. What this means is you no longer gain any benefit from that, and you can only have 1 race in decline at a time. So if you put another race into decline, you have to remove the one you previously had in decline. When you go into decline, you'll flip over all the tokens for that race that are on the board to their grey side. If you've got multiple tokens on a space, excess get returned to the game box. That would then be your whole turn having gone into decline. However, your race that is in decline still scores points for the areas that it controls. So I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, which I would take from the game box and put in front of me. I would then once again pick a new race and power combination the same way I did on my first turn, and enter the board the same way I did on my first turn, and you keep playing like this until the end of the final round. At this point, you count up your coins, and whoever has the most wins the game. And that is how you play Small World by Days of Wonder. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing and sharing. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.